It's time for Cofield and Company. Live at the Golden Circle Sportsbook and Bar, inside Treasure Island, it's Cofield and Company.
Yeah! All right, here we go. Friday. World Cup going down here at the Golden Circle Sports Bar. No better place in town on the Strip for many reasons. No better spot to watch the World Cup as we have Scotland and Morocco going at it. They just started. USA, of course, was playing at noon, and this place was jam-packed and loud. And last couple of tables that were watching the early game filed out. So there's some room here. You want to come on down? Why is it a great spot to watch? Free parking. You don't think that's a big deal? Go to the Strip and go to the other sports bars on the Strip. You're 25 in the hole or more right out of the gates. They have happy hour here, 10A to 6P, 7 days a week, $5 on select draft beers. The menu, very, very good, and adding more and more items, and they've kept the prices in line. So this is a great spot. Golden Circle, Treasure Island here on this Friday. Jeff Parles is with us back in the Findlay Toyota Studios. It's James Mateo's helping us out. You've got, do I have to call it a kit? Just because you've got the jersey on, do I have to call it a kit?
You can do whatever your heart desires, Cofield. Either way, it's. I will say, it looks much better in person than it does on the television. That was my biggest takeaway, seeing these in person in the store yesterday. Oh, boy, look at that. Early fireworks in Boston, Cofield.
A goal already?
Yeah.
1:13 in? Morocco?
Yeah.
Boy, the Scots were all hammered and singing, and now it's a sea of red dancing and cavorting and going crazy. So maybe we'll get a super exciting game here. First of all, what were the odds on this one, and what'd you bet?
I'm already probably going to lose because I took a first half draw because I thought the price was reasonable, about plus 135. I got over at our friends at William Hill. -1 here at Stations, here at the SDN book here at the Golden Circle. Morocco, a -180 favorite on the three-way line, Cofield. The draw was actually the second favorite at plus 280, and then the Scots all the way up at plus 525. But that -180 looking mighty good less than 2 minutes into the match up at Boston Stadium. Again, we don't want to tick off the folks over at FIFA by giving the sponsorships their name. Scotland
doesn't play in the World Cup very often, correct?
This is the first in, I want to say, 8 cycles. It's been a while for Scotland, but again, for the newbies who may be watching the World Cup for the first time, this was a 36-team tournament since 1998. They expanded to 48. So there are a lot more slots for other teams. Really, Africa and Asia were the geographic areas that benefited the most, but they added a few more European spots, so a few more European teams made it in that were unexpected. The Scots are one of them. They got a nice win in their first match against Haiti, but in a hole early against the best team from Africa. Morocco is the best African team in the world at this point.
Is there a downside to the bigger field?
The biggest problem is that there's more. The people that know soccer better than both of us have said there's just too many teams, not enough quality. It's kind of the same argument we hear with people for the NCAA tournament expanding to 76, that you're going to have too many teams that don't deserve to be there. So far, the expansion with Africa, not so bad. Even with some of the Asian teams, except for Qatar, who was awful yesterday. But that's really the only downside. That there are probably there's too many teams, a few too many teams that probably don't deserve to be there. I'm always okay with more games, Cofield. That's part of the reason I'm not as annoyed with everyone else with the NCAA tournament expansion. And I'm very happy that this tournament is an extra week now because of all the extra games we have.
So as we get more into the World Cup over the next few weeks, and this thing goes all the way through the middle of July, I will ask questions.
Yeah.
I don't know everything about soccer. I'm not that big on the World Cup. I'm not ashamed to mine your mind or JVT's or when Adam Hill is on. In about 5 minutes, I'm going to give you an example of and this is something we got into yesterday. Brandy Flores was on with us, our LVSN reporter, and she was saying, and she's relatively new to the market, that the Aces kind of get dissed in terms of media coverage, and it's our job to cover them. We need to cover them. They're one of the major league sports, and we sort of got into a whole discussion about coverage of different teams and the schools here. And then I also brought up something that Willie has talked about, Willie Ramirez, and Willie was annoyed that First Take wasn't doing a lot of Stanley Cup finals. And my response to both of them, especially on shows like that, or even on shows like this, if the people doing the show aren't interested or aren't knowledgeable on a topic, why do you want to be irked? Like, watching them talk about sports they don't have passion for or knowledge. Stephen A. gets caught all the time making mistakes on football. He made some reference the other day to France.
Oh,
you see this one?
Yes, where Stephen A. said maybe this is the year France finally busts through and win the World Cup. They won it in 2018, and they lost one of the best finals in any professional sport ever in the 22 final to Argentina.
And we laugh, but like he doesn't follow it, and then people get annoyed when they try it, and then they make a mistake. I just want to point out to people, like, a lot of times when day to day on this show, we cover the sports that I am into, and I also, if you notice, we cover the sports that the co-host is into. So today we will do a little WNBA. We're not going to do 3 blocks of it. There are days where we do lots of college football. There are other days we don't do hardly any college football.
So I'm happy you just brought that up, because and look, this is not the best market for me to have this blind spot in, but it's part of the reason that whenever our guy R.J. Clifford is on or any other UFC-related guest, I lay back. That's not.
Listen, I understand you guys.
It's not my thing.
I understand you guys are not, totally into MMA and boxing, but I think we have an audience for that.
Oh, and I like boxing. I just don't know enough.
And it's also why we have a lot of different cast members, so that we can kind of cover most of the stuff. Softball? Well, it's kind of baseball. We got softball tickets for the charity softball game on the 27th coming up in less than 10 days at LV Ballpark. It's Team Riley Smith against Team Brock Bowers. We'll give you the particulars on the Golden Knights roster as they release some of the names today. But we got 2 tickets right now. 364-1100, 364-1100, caller 7. This event all goes to charity, supports local charities. It's a great event. It's usually sold out. You can get your tickets. You can still get them. Ticketmaster.com, Ticketmaster.com. Okay, so USA played today at noon. Mm-hmm. I watched the game on and off as I was prepping. So I really didn't get a feel for the pace of the game and how aggressive they were. I know they didn't get a lot of shots off of the first 35 minutes. In fact, the first goal was an own goal, which, in watching it briefly, second own goal already of the World Cup. And USA, for some reason, actually has this amazing number of like 5 own goals in their history, which is kind of crazy. Explain what happened on the own goal, and then they really kind of broke out on what was initially called an offsides on a header.
Yep.
And then it got overruled, reviewed, and they got the goal. So they go up 2-0. They win 2-0.
Yeah, look, the own goal was pretty simplistic, Cofield. Balogun, who's by far the U.S.'s best goal scorer, got into a spot where he beat the defender, great cross in, and Burgess really had no opportunity to really punch it out. Actually, it was Balogun who crossed it over, I should say, and it was Pepe who would have been on the receiving end if it got through to him. It didn't. Right into the back of the net. Own goal with the most goals of anyone in this tournament so far. So good job by own goal. Well on the way to the golden ball. But the second goal was just a great play and really just a great effort by Freeman. By the way, football connection with Freeman, and I was reminded of this at the beginning of this World Cup. For football fans out there, he's Antonio Freeman's son. So
I heard them talking about that.
So a good little connection there.
And that would sort of be, again, from a very casual USA soccer fan standpoint, I know there are great athletes who are in our soccer program over the years, but when you hear something like that, it kind of perks you up like, hey, maybe more of our major league sports athletes could make their way into soccer. Obviously, there's Rodman's kid
yes,
on the
Trinity,
women's
yep.
side, so that was kind of neat to hear about Freeman.
So I would say they played. The U.S. played. I would say they played a more complete game against Paraguay. I just think they did. But the one thing that was interesting, and people who know soccer better than me were saying this during the first half, and it was even said on the broadcast by Stu Holden, the ball was not moving as quickly as it did in L.A., and part of that is that some people thought that they didn't water the grass enough. And one thing I noticed yesterday with being in L.A., the sprinklers go off 20 minutes before the game, intentionally, to make sure that the pitch has enough wetness to it, for lack of a better phrase. And it was definitely dry. It was sunny there in Seattle today. But look, all in all, Cofield, it's the first time the U.S. has won back-to-back World Cup games since 1930,
wow,
which was the inaugural World Cup. So this U.S. team is doing things that the U.S. has never done before. And look, if Paraguay and Turkey, I guess we're now officially calling Turkey now. So if they draw, U.S. wins the group. If Turkey wins, then the U.S. just has to get a point next week in Los Angeles to make sure they win the group. And the path gets much easier geographically wise if they win the group, Cofield. Because if they win the group, they don't have to leave the West Coast. They would go Santa Clara, Seattle, Los Angeles into the round of 8. And then if somehow they pulled an upset in the round of 8, they'd go to Dallas.
Boy, this game with Scotland and Morocco is up
wide,
and down the field.
Wide open.
Crowd's going freaking crazy. What do you think get-in price was today for USA?
When I looked last night, because a college friend of mine was there, I don't know how much he paid, because it sounded like with texting with him that one of his friends that he grew up with won like 9 different games in the lottery, which I want to know how that was possible.
You put in for 11, right?
I put in for 11. The only one I got was yesterday.
Wow.
The one, the Switzerland-Bosnia game, which I know we'll get into.
Connections.
I looked last night. It was 2,800.
Wow.
2,800 last night.
We're going to check in with someone in Seattle. Late add to our rundown today. Chuck Powell, who works for KJR in Seattle, is going to be on at 5:30 to talk about the scene and the setting. Seattle's a great soccer city.
It's a great city in general.
They're really into MLS, and man, the droves of people on the streets. That was amazing. I got to give you a funny story from last night. So Arash Markazi from Sporting Tribune is covering the LA scene, covers Vegas, covers Hawaii. He's up in Seattle right now. He's at the game. So he was flying out last night. He tweets out last night, flight from LA to Seattle is delayed and oversold. Now keep in mind, you said get-in price today, or at least the ticket price that
the get-in yesterday was in 2020.
So 2,800.
2,800.
LA to Seattle is delayed and oversold. They just announced. Got to get some people off the plane. They're going to give $500 to anyone willing to fly tomorrow at 2:00.
Nope, no good.
Everyone at the gate laughed. Do you think the gate agent's like, $500 is nothing to sneeze at? Because my first thought was like, I didn't even know what the price was. But I'm like, minimum? $2,000.
All I remember
I'm saying not ticket price. But my first thought on, I'm getting off this flight, and now I'm going to miss the game, and I was going there for the game, minimum $2,000.
In all honesty.
And I saw a lot of people were like, $5,000.
Cofield, after my experience yesterday with two...
Please say there's no dollar amount. 2
countries that I have no connection to, I don't know if there would have been a dollar amount.
Even, really?
Like, it would have had to have been 5 figures. To start, like, all right, can I take the 5 figures, go to a different airline, and say, all right, get me on the earliest flight to Seattle tomorrow, and make sure I get there. And it doesn't matter what the cost is.
Jeff Parles, Cofield, we're hanging out here at the Golden Circle. We're tracking Scotland and Morocco. Morocco's up 1-0 about 13 minutes in. I want to get your LA experience on in just a couple minutes, so that's about 7 minutes away. But I was making a point earlier about speak on what you know, and the audience can tell when you don't. I understand Fox has the broadcast.
Yeah.
And I'd already seen one video that was put out of Colin Cowherd. Now, we talk about Cowherd all the time on this show. We play his bites all the time. We're cross-promoting with our Fox Sports Radio sister station, and I think Colin's really good. I think he's a top 5, talk show host. I think he's dynamite. The entire staff is prepped. He's prepped. But this is the second time I've seen him talk some soccer And I just want you to react to this.
Okay.
And see what you think. Fire this.
And last week, first half against Paraguay, that looked different. And you were all right. And you should all be optimistic. That looked different. I mean, don't get me wrong. This has always been called soccer's the beautiful game. But we really never took part in the beautiful game thing. We were kind of defense first, set pieces. There was a way we had to win, mostly 1-0, with our goalkeepers being Superman.
So at the end, with the goalkeepers being Superman, he squinted real hard at the screen in front of him. Because a lot of the show is written.
Sure.
And that's why it sounds so smooth. And that's not like, I'm not going to go JT the Brick and say, Cowherd has 43 writers. I don't care how many writers he has. It's about prep. And if they want to put that much prep into it and he's comfortable, reading some of his takes, Jim Rome, I think, has done it for years. Some radio shows like to do that. But I'll be interested to see, how schooled Colin is on this. Now, I will say, I already came out and said earlier that, and I'm going to let you answer in a second. I said, hey, react to this. And I just started talking. Sorry. But I will say my soccer background is I played a little bit. I played up until whatever. I was like 15, 16.
Sure.
When I went to school, I did have the opportunity to do play-by-play for soccer. I actually was on a broadcast of a national championship game. I called Final Four games.
Nice.
I know lots of people don't like Alexi Lalas, but back in the day, I did do a coach's show, and Lalas was obviously part of the show because he was one of the players.
Of course.
So I have those ties. But I haven't been super passionate about watching international soccer or even USA soccer. I get into it as the World Cup moves along. I think what Colin said there was somewhat well-written.
It was not inaccurate. It was not inaccurate.
It's never felt like we've been super hyper-aggressive. And I don't know. I've always questioned, was it style over the years internationally that kept us from being dynamic or a lack of dynamic players?
I think it's a little bit of both. Because, look, Balogun is a different type of goal scorer that this U.S. team has never really had. Again, it's kind of surprising that he's not a Premier League player. In all honesty, but you're in a scenario though where look at the Tim Howard against Belgium, a game the U.S. lost. Keep in mind, in 2014, it looked at as this high end. Great moment in U.S. soccer. They got knocked out in the round of 16 by the Dutch last cycle. The U.S. has only won one game in the knockout stage in modern World Cup history. So, yeah, we're an afterthought on the grand scheme of things.
Did you always hate our style? I've always hated our style.
To be honest with you,
I always wanted them to throw caution to the wind. And if you get your ass kicked,
to be honest, I just like winning the game.
Yeah. Okay.
When it comes to soccer, but
there is a different There is a different mindset in soccer. I mean, I got to say, it was Stu Holden who was on the call today for the USA game. Yep. There was a point where I don't even know who was in the opposing box and nearly got tripped, but he kind of jumped over and stepped through the trip. And Stu Holden was pointing out I don't know if I love that. You have to play to the contact, and like my mindset is no, be athletic. Avoid the contact. You don't have to flop to draw a foul, but in soccer, that is part of the game.
I believe it was Tillman on the U.S., if memory serves me correct. But you know what? It's a different style. And also, this is the best manager they've ever had, period. And Poche is the best one they've had by margin. So it's a different quality of coach team. The players are better. I don't know if they're as good in net as they've been in the past. But, okay, you get 1 point next week in Los Angeles. You get to stay on the West Coast, probably the duration of your stay in the tournament.
Golden Circle here on this Friday. Come on down, watch soccer all weekend long. Happy hour goes until 6 o'clock. It starts at 10, so with these 9 a.m. games, you're good to go with happy hour here and 2 other bars at Treasure Island. We're talking a lot of soccer today with the World Cup. We got the Knicks parade to recap as it got a little goofy towards the end of it. A lot of baseball today. A's just started a series with the Angels, so we'll get into the A's over the next 10 days as we're going to talk Angels and Dodgers and A's. A lot of baseball today. Mariners as well as we talk to our buddy up in Seattle. Just getting rolling here on a Friday, Cofield and Company.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, Jeff, so I got to hear about your L.A. trip. You did a one-day trip. You applied for 11 games. Told me months ago, 11 games in the World Cup. Jeff Parles, Cofield, here at Treasure Island. And you got one.
Got one.
And it might not have been the most premium matchup, but the way you described it, it turned out to be a freaking joy. The experience was awesome. And we had talked to Arash Markazi the other day, and he said just being at SoFi for these soccer games in the World Cup is just because the stadium's tremendous. So what was it like?
Let's just start with this, Cofield. 12 noon, Thursday. It's Switzerland and Bosnia and Herzegovina. And the place is jammed. Totally jammed. Everyone in their seat by kick. Environment was unbelievable. Our travel day started off actually highly efficient, which was shocking in its own right with dealing with both our airport and LAX. We get off the plane at about 10 after 8 in the morning. We get about a 15-minute walk. We walk over to the shuttle station that's right by the airport. The good old-fashioned yellow school buses take us about the 2 miles from 98th Street down to a parking lot right on the cusp of SoFi. We go inside, and they have this gigantic fan fest area where we got a whole bunch of free swag from the sponsors, Cofield. I now have a potato chip and soft drink headband in my collection now, Cofield. So that was really, really fun. And then you go inside the stadium. First off, that's my first time at SoFi. That place is outrageous. It's outrageous.
And you've been to Allegiant?
I've been to Allegiant.
Compare, contrast.
I'm sorry, there's not much of a compare. Because it's different. It's a different stadium. Because Allegiant is an excellent venue. So the translucent roof is nice. I'd like to see them open the window to the strip more often, because when that window's not open, you could be anywhere. You could be anywhere. You know you're in Los Angeles with the way that it's not a roof, it's a canopy. And you've been there, so you felt the breeze come in. And it was really nice. Did get a little toasty when the sun started coming out, though. I will say that. But the environment inside that stadium, and there were a few Swiss fans and a few Bosnian fans on our flight in the morning, too. And just really talk to the Bosnian fans more so than the Swiss fans, because I'm pretty sure all the Swiss fans were Americans who had Swiss heritage. But talking to a few of the Bosnian fans of just the excitement of their country being in the World Cup, because it's the first time since Bosnia's been in since 2006. And the excitement to be in the United States, too. They have this whole song also. You go search it on TikTok or whatever social media. It's pretty funny in all honesty. But the excitement they had, and then the excitement that fan base brought during the game, until the game got completely out of hand at the end. Because there was nothing until the 75th minute, and then the Swiss scored 4 goals because the game got out of hand. 4-1 was the final. But it was unlike anything I've ever experienced. If the ticket prices were a little bit less, I definitely would go to another game, either in Los Angeles or Santa Clara. It was phenomenal. And I'll say this about L.A. Their public transportation, it gives you hope that they're going to get the Olympics right in 2 years. Because I had no problems with the public transportation. And this is me flying in the day of the event and getting a shuttle from a 10-minute walk from Terminal 1 at LAX. So, bravo, LA. Bravo, the Bosnian fans and the Swiss fans. Bravo, just going as a fan of the World Cup. If you have the means, I would try to find a way to go to one of these games out on the West Coast, even if it is taking a cheap flight at 7 in the morning, go to LA for the day, San Francisco for the day. I would really try to do that if you have the means over the next month, because it's going to be at least another 12 years before it comes back.
But so far, we've been pretty good. I think the reaction,
we've been great.
Yeah, from around the world and the visitors has been Pretty damn good. We're heading towards A's baseball right here on ESPN Las Vegas. So on the way back, we'll start to get into the A's and the Angels in Game 2 of the series.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
So 33 minutes in, Game 2 of the day in the World Cup. Morocco 1-0 against Scotland. I mean, they got on the board within a minute and a half. I think at the 1:13 mark, they were up 1-0. USA won earlier today, 2-0 against Australia. Brazil, Haiti coming up, and then Turkey and Paraguay tonight at 8 o'clock our time. We were just talking during the break and carrying over what Jeff was mentioning in his trip to L.A. yesterday. Went to see Bosnia and Switzerland and won on how cool SoFi is. Is it better than Allegiant? It's different, and it was also like 3 times the cost. SoFi, and I know you didn't go down on the field, and I've been there as a fan. SoFi on the field, when you look up the enormity of the stadium and the newness and the field boxes and the screen, is the best stadium I've ever been at on the field. Obviously, I'm out on the field at Allegiant all the time. It's impressive. SoFi is ridiculous, and in the last 3-4 years, I've been on the field at Notre Dame. I've been on the field at the Big House. 40 years, not 40, but 35 years ago, I was at, and I hated every moment of it, but I was at 107,000 seat Penn State, their stadium. I've been in a lot of big stadiums. SoFi is just ridiculous. And here's the other thing. I'll throw it out, and you're going to hear this rant at different times during the show because we have different audiences, and if you don't like it, I don't understand why you wouldn't like it. I think this is a great showcase, and we're seeing the feedback very much positive. It is a great showcase for this nation's big cities. And for some reason, and in many ways, obvious reasons, our big cities have been under attack by mostly morons in the Midwest and the South who either don't go anywhere, don't have the money to go anywhere, or are just petrified at exploring and going and seeing new places. I love many of our big cities, and a lot of vacations I take, and I don't take many, but I will go to our big cities, and L.A. is cool. Now, L.A. is gigantic, and in every big city, there are terrible areas. There's terrible areas here in Las Vegas. So, yeah, if you only concentrate on the terrible areas in big cities, but most of them have amazing history, tremendous culture, they're multicultural, ethnicity, the food scene in most of them. And that's not to say small cities are crap. I go to small cities all the time. But what I'm not going to – it's not like I'm going to stop it, but it's gotten old the last 10 years, this war on our big cities and trying to splinter us like the big city against the small city. It's crap. And the international travelers are telling you, a lot of them are like, wait, we heard this was so awful here. And they're like, wait, I keep saying, and they're like, wait, but their experience of big cities and the positive of big cities, there's a reason that people live in big cities.
And the other thing, too, the international traveler is also telling you, hey, your country as a whole is pretty darn good. That's another thing I've heard a lot of.
Well, the one thing that sucks here is that we can't get to our big cities more easily. It actually does cheat. If I'm going to pick on people in the Midwest and the South, it does cheat them out of easy access because it's a giant pain in the ass. You have to be someone with some money to often go to big cities because we've so fallen behind, in terms of mass transit. You were saying L.A. has a nightmarish mass transit reputation.
That's all I heard. That's all I ever heard.
And you were good to go.
Yesterday was awesome. It was as easy as any major city I went to in Europe, where the big major Euros say they have the best public transport. And when I went to London, I thought their underground was very easy to navigate, despite being ginormous.
Our train system sucks.
Yes,
and there's no way it should be like this when you see what goes on around the rest of the world. And listen, I know it's going to cost a lot of money, and I know we want to be negative Nancy's all the time, but I hope that the L.A. to Vegas, whatever the train is going to be, I hope it's a massive success. I hope it's affordable down the road, because I tell you what, I would love to go down to LA more often if it was easy and it was affordable.
It would be, well, it would just add another dynamic with the yesterday of having that option. Even though I will say, like, everything was super easy yesterday just because of the proximity of LAX to SoFi. That's the other thing, too. Like, and this goes for Allegiant, too. Allegiant is insanely close to the airport.
We're so lucky here.
SoFi is really close to LAX.
Yep.
Like, that is, and that's the same in Santa Clara, where San Jose Airport is like 2 miles from the Big Gene. So, this has been an unbelievable soak. I'm with you 100% of the way. And even for cities I'm not a huge fan of. I'm not a huge fan of Philadelphia. But
I like Philly.
But they've been showcased great. My one experience in Houston wasn't the best. But
I'm fine with Houston, too.
Everything there was great. Miami has its issues, but you know what? Showcase down there has been pretty good. Same deal with LA. Same deal with New Jersey. Like everything.
And like you said, and we got a break here.
Yeah.
But Seattle is basically an overlooked city because people can't get there. And
Seattle's
Portland is actually
amazing.
a really cool city, and both of those cities have gotten such a bad rap the last 10 years. And for people out there who've never been to either one of them, it's your loss. Stop listening to people who don't travel, don't know anything, probably have an agenda, are just trolling. Up next, we are going to go to Southern California and talk to Grant Mona about the Angels and the Dodgers and much more going on in the LA sports scene. Grant, of course, from the Sporting Tribune.
Now back to Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, let's get into some baseball. A's and Angels going at it tonight right here on ESPN Las Vegas. We are the home of A's baseball on radio across the LV Sports Network. Grant Mona does great work for the Sporting Tribune. He does the Sporting Tribs live show Monday. Check that, Sunday through Thursday, and he joins Jeff Parles and Cofield. Grant, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
Yeah, it's good to hear from you guys again. It's been a while, but we're back, and we got a lot to talk about still, fellas.
Yeah, let's talk about some SoCal baseball. First of all, the Angels were not expected to be a very good team, and the season has just been a disaster, and especially from an injury standpoint, the pitching staff just has not really put it together because of injuries.
Yeah, you look at that rotation, Jose Soriano, who is probably going to be an all-star. I mean, he was an early Cy Young candidate. You got Reed Detmers, who's still trying to find his way in the MLB. You got Urania. I mean, all these guys, the Angels have had issues with having good pitchers, let alone guys that are healthy. And now they have some guys that are healthy, and they have some guys that are actually really, really good. And you look at all those things combined, and you would think that the Angels are a little bit better than expected because they have that top-end ace. They just haven't been. And then you go to the lineup. Mike Trout now has the hamstring issue. He was having a little bit of a bounce-back year. But you can go to all these different things. Those fans know where they're at.
We've talked a lot about Trout as a trade candidate. I suppose it's mostly up to him. Do you think he's going to reach a breaking point and just say, hey, at this age, let me go play some competitive baseball, some meaningful baseball?
Sorry, I think they cut us off. I didn't even know that I was speaking to anybody, but we're back. Yeah, listen, I think with this Mike Trout situation, it's a situation where the Angels, and I think Mike Trout both of them understand kind of where they're at. Like, Mike Trout doesn't want to be traded. He doesn't really want to go anywhere else. He wants to stay in SoCal as of the time being. And the Angels, they want to have that marquee guy. So you look around the league, like, which teams would want to get him. I guess an East Coast team. He's having a little bit of a bounce-back year. But, all in all, I think that this Angels team, they have to make decisions, guys. And, I think the decisions they have to make rely on the trade deadline, because this team isn't going anywhere. They're not going anywhere next year. They're not going anywhere the year after that. So they're just going to have to figure it out on the fly. And this is a team that is really in flux right now, from ownership to coaching to the roster. We really don't know what's going to happen with this team over the next couple of years, and that's a terrible place to be in.
Grant Mona's up on ESPN Las Vegas. Biggest surprise in the division for you, that Seattle got out to a slow start, the Astros got out to a really slow start, or the fact that the A's toyed with first place for a while and are sitting around 500?
I actually like that A's team that's heading to Vegas in a few years. They got some really good pieces up there. Now, obviously, they got off to that really hot start. They were in first for a while. the Mariners are always going to be in the mix. I mean, obviously they got really close to getting to the World Series, so I didn't expect them to have these slow starts, but that's what the Mariners usually do. Now, the Rangers did have a couple of good stretches, but they are kind of in this middle ground where they don't even know what they're going to do right now. They have a lot of issues. So I think that division, like, listen, if the A's can kind of stabilize, the American League is kind of wide open for wild card spots. Now, you can even go to the top of the divisions, like the Guardians, you go to the Yankees, and the Rays are right there. There's a lot of teams that are just in the mix. And if you're the A's, if you're the Mariners, you know that you at least have a chance to get into the wild card. And I think the American League is going to be really fun because you're going to get all these different teams that think they have a chance, and they do have a chance. So we'll see what happens. But the AL West has just been kind of this jumbled up division of teams just trying to find themselves right now.
Grant, the Dodgers just humming along, even with the injury concerns. It's another year where you line it up for 162 and win between 95 and 105 and just get everyone ready and healthy for the playoffs, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of their philosophy. And the crazy thing is, guys, that the Dodgers haven't been healthy. We're just talking about the Angels' health and their rotation and all that stuff. Like, the Dodgers, Glasnow's out. Snell is out again. Kike is out for the foreseeable future. They have so many guys that are on the IL. Will Smith was just put on the IL. Teoscar Hernandez is on the IL. And yet this team is still scorching hot as of right now with the best record in baseball, even though the Braves have been really good this year. So I think you can just pencil in this Dodgers team to just find guys to fill in spots. And if their core of their lineup is healthy, obviously they're going to be very good. But you can also go to that division and say, like, the Padres have been a little bit disappointing. The Giants obviously are disappointing. So the Dodgers, like, yeah, you're right. You can kind of just pencil them in for like 95 to 105. But the thing about the Dodgers is that they just care about being healthy in like September. If they're healthy in September, just like they were last year, they have the utmost confidence. Like, as long as it's not a season-ending injury, they're okay with putting guys on the extended injured list. And I think that's where they're at right now.
How do you think they manage Shohei and the pitching load in the second half? Do they dial him back a little bit? Obviously, he's got big goals. He seems to be determined to try to make a run at the Cy Young. I'm not sure that he can do that with Mizorowski putting up, bigger numbers and longer outings. But how do they manage him to make sure that he's not gassed on the mound or at the plate, come September, October?
Yeah, they've done an actually pretty good job this season of actually giving him rest. That was my concern when he was with the Angels, like his last year, is that they were just using him too much. And for Shohei, he's the guy that wants to be out there all the time, but I think the Dodgers are the ones that are going to have to tell him, like, hey, we'll only throw you 6 innings. We don't want you to go 8 innings of 2-run baseball, as crazy as that sounds. And, hey, we're going to give you a day off here and there from the plate just so that you have your mind right when you're on the mound. So it's this crazy thing. Like, every year with Shohei, it's like, okay, now I want to be just a dominant hitter. Now I want to pitch a little bit and hit a little bit. And now this series, like, I'm going to be this dominant pitcher. And obviously at the plate, he's hitting close to 300 and getting hot there too. So I think it's just on the Dodgers end. Like, Shohei wants to be out there every single game, but he's also got that left knee inflammation that he's dealing with, that Dave Roberts said he's going to be dealing with the rest of the year. So they have some things to manage there. And then, like I said, getting Shohei healthy in September, making sure he's good for October, that's the main key. So it's on the Dodgers end.
Grant Mona's with Cofield and Company, ESPN Las Vegas. He's from the Sporting Tribune. You can find him up on Twitter, at GMona48, and also at Sporting Trib. All right, little NBA, because you're big on the Clippers. You're at all the games. Yeah. Let's talk about Clippers offseason. First, the draft. The draft is next week. It sneaks up on us here. I was looking at the odds for the number 5 pick in the draft. Brown, Acuff, Wagler, Burries, Flemings. Who do you like, and what do they need?
The thing with the Clippers is this is what I'll say. Darius Acuff Jr. is like the guy, the best player available. That's what they call BPA, best player available. But the thing with the Clippers is that they just traded for a 6'1" guard for James Harden at the trade deadline. So they already have a short guard, and pairing 2 short guards together usually doesn't win titles. And small guards usually don't win titles unless you're Jalen Brunson surrounded by an awesome Knicks defense. So I am a little bit wary of that. As good as Darius Acuff Jr. is, I would lean to think that the Clippers are thinking of Mikel Brown Jr. out of Louisville, because he's a guy that has a longer wingspan. He can grow into his frame. He's an awesome offensive player, and he can fit next to Darius Garland. Now, that may be the wrong decision for the Clippers, making Darius Garland one of your franchise cornerstones, but I truly believe that the front office thinks that way. And I think they're going to draft someone to fit next to Darius as opposed to just taking the best player available. So it's such a fine line for the Clippers. They want to be better. This is their highest draft pick since Blake Griffin, and they're in this tough spot where across the city, the Lakers have Luka Doncic. They don't have that guy unless Kawhi Leonard extends, but Kawhi Leonard is up for the aspiration investigation. He's up for a contract extension. He's expiring. So there are so many avenues that the Clippers can go, and it'll come to a resolve next Tuesday. So we'll have to see.
You want to see him do it with Kawhi?
In my honest opinion, I really believe that it's time to move on from Kawhi Leonard. But I truly believe that the Clippers feel like he's still a part of a contention window for them. And that may be the wrong decision, but I still feel like that front office loves Kawhi Leonard. He obviously wants to be in L.A., but on the Clippers' end, they have to make that decision. Can you go get a haul? Can you get another first-round pick, maybe two? Can you get a good young player for Kawhi Leonard at the draft? And then you kind of restart that new era. So, listen, Kawhi Leonard was fantastic, but you have to make that decision. I think, in my opinion, they should shift towards a rebuild and trade him, but the front office, they have their own ways of thinking.
Grant Mona's with us here on ESPN Las Vegas, a little NBA talk. He's in SoCal. All right, on the Lakers, there's obviously the LeBron situation that has to get worked out, but Austin Reeves right now is at the peak of his game. Probably can be better, but in terms of making money, he's at the peak of his game. I saw Brian Windhorst mention the Nets and the Pistons could be threats. What do you think?
The Lakers are also in a tough spot, guys, because LeBron, I feel like LeBron wants to come back to the Lakers, but he's not going to take this heavy discount that everybody's talking about. He still wants to make his money. Austin Reeves is up for that super max contract, basically extension, but he also has his player option. He's going to decline that, and I guarantee you other teams are going to make offers. But also, it's not just about those two guys. It's like Rui Hachimura, Marcus Smart, Luke Kennard, like the guys that kind of galvanized that team in the first round of the playoffs. They're up for contracts too. So Luka was outspoken for the first time in a while, saying, "I want rim running lob threats. I want guys who can shoot." And this is a pivotal year for that Lakers front office. New ownership, year 3, I guess, of Luka Doncic, and they have only made the second round, and Luka wasn't even a part of it. So they're going to have to really improve this team, and there's a really thin avenue for them to do that. I still think that they're going to bring back Austin Reeves, but that doesn't mean that other teams are going to not try to pry him away from them.
Grant, about 30 seconds left. Tell people in Vegas about the Sporting Trib Today show and what you guys are doing Sunday to Thursday.
Yeah, we got an awesome crew, an awesome panel. We're Sunday through Thursday nights on Twitter, on X, whatever you want to call it. We have our show uploaded to YouTube. We're also on the radio waves, but we have an awesome time. We discuss all the national stuff and obviously all the local stuff here in LA and Vegas, so it's an awesome time.
Real quick, what was your take the other day? You guys were talking about Trae Young.
He opted out. He's gonna be back with the Wizards, and the bigger thing is Anthony Davis. I don't know what happens with Anthony Davis. He's in, he's out, he's 1 foot in. I don't know what he wants. So that's a big thing. But I think Trae Young will be back with the Wizards on a shorter deal.
Grant, you're the best. Have a good weekend.
All right, guys, have a good one. Thank you.
There he is, Grant Mona, one of the fine staffers at the Sporting Tribune, based in Southern California. 4 o'clock hours on the way. We are going to check in with Sammy P in a new location. Sam Panayotovich, our gambling insider, is now planted his flag back in his hometown of Chicago. So we got a bunch of updates going on with Chicago. It's Big City Friday. We're going to go out to Seattle a little later on, and we're still tracking the World Cup as Morocco and Scotland are playing. Morocco out to the 1-0 lead.
Hanging at the Golden Circle Sportsbook and Bar inside Treasure Island. It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
Here we go, 4 o'clock hour, ESPN Reno, ESPN Las Vegas. Hours brought to you by Battleborn Injury Lawyers. Jeff Parles, Mateo's out at the Golden Circle Sports Bar. So we are down here at Treasure Island watching the World Cup, watching the rest of the sports world unfold on the 55-plus TVs. Happy hour goes 10A to 6P, 7 days a week, $5 on select craft beers. A lot to get into, so let's do it. Big 4 time.
Battleborn Injury Lawyers presents The Big Four at 4. Number 4.
So I left last hour calling this Big City Friday. We kind of stumbled upon a topic near and dear to me, and that is the constant bashing of our big cities by certain people around the country who are misinformed. They're getting it kind of thrown in their face by international travelers for the World Cup because people are coming here and telling stories about just how cool the food is, the travel is, the maybe mass transit isn't as good as some places in Europe, but they're having a really good time. And I started going through a list of like the top 50 markets around the country and cities I haven't been to. But I was asking you, and I'll probably ask the rest of our guests the rest of the way, what is your favorite big city? What is your favorite big city?
Still New York.
Yeah.
I'll go with the bias. Still Cofield, and I was there last week. It's just every single thing you can ask for in a major city is there, and usually you can find everything you need in the major city within 4 blocks in New York, which again, as great as some of these other major cities are, a lot of them are expansive. New York, Manhattan is tiny.
And we'll count big cities as anything that's top 50 or say like top 25 city?
I would say we'll go top 40, I think is fine.
Top 40, okay.
I think top 40. We'll just be like music, top 40 countdown. There you go. And then I have Chicago after that. I think the best weather in the country is Chicago in the summer. It's just glorious there. And then number 3 is extraordinarily hard because San Francisco, San Diego, Washington, D.C. I settled on Seattle. I need to spend a little more time there. But when I was there last March, I adored it. So that's my top 3. And there are so many, like even though they're not major, people wouldn't constitute them as major cities. Like Pittsburgh's a really good city. Like you'd never would ever think about that, but that's what makes this country unique. It's so darn large that there are so many like mid-tier cities that we would say are mid-tier that are really good. I'm curious on your top 3 because I think you could ask every single person that's on the show in the next 3 weeks and you'd get 25, 30 different orders.
I could keep doing a top 3 and reshuffle, but I would go San Fran, San Diego, and then L.A., but
can't really argue with that.
I like Philly a lot. I know you know it's not one of your favorites. The biggest cities I haven't been to are Boston, and that's the 9th biggest city. I'm looking at TV markets, and after that is Cleveland.
Okay.
So maybe someday I'll make my way to both. Boston for sure. Cleveland, we'll see. I saw a very interesting Cleveland take. You know, you and I are going to go back and forth on the Sorsby thing. You're not that high on them, and you don't want to take a chance on drafting them. I think a team should spend a 3rd or 4th round pick on Brendan Sorsby. He's a kid who's been booted from college football, a victim of college football and their stupid, unorganized system. Cleveland radio star Anthony Lima said Sorsby's rise is pretty remarkable. It was 5'3" before a late sophomore growth spurt, was deciding between D2 and D3 offers to preferred walk-on at Wisconsin, 6th quarterback on the roster at one point at IU, Indiana. Dad was a high school coach. Mom was a nurse. Very relatable story for people to root for in places like Northeast Ohio. Basically one of us. So he's pushing for the Browns to take Brendan Sorsby, who is the underdog. What a good story Brendan Sorsby is. Hey, you know what? He's got a problem like a lot of people do with gambling. I think he can kick it pretty quickly. Listen, I have no idea how serious it is. He was betting in small increments. I think now that he knows that his career could be on the line, I think he'll be able to shake it. I would take a chance on him, but you're still in a stay-away mode?
I just am. I'm just concerned, fair or not, if he was doing that much gambling in college, even with him going to the gambling rehab.
He's a kid.
I know, but I would still be concerned about him getting himself booted from the league, because you know the NFL will not deal with it. You know that. So, I don't know, and I'm also, and I guess it was Miles who made this point to us on Wednesday. If he was really that good, he would have came out this year, right? Like, this was an extraordinarily weak quarterback class behind Fernando. If he was that good, he would have gone out and he probably would have went ahead of Ty Simpson. So, again, it's one thing if you like someone wants to give him for a 4 or 5, sure, but I wouldn't go much higher than a 5 in all honesty.
Number 3.
Number 3.
Olivia Miles is quickly becoming, we started hitting on this yesterday, she's in the WNBA with Minnesota. She's quickly becoming one of my favorite players in the league. Awesome scorer, great handle, awesome hair. I'll give you the hair stats, by the way. I have a breakdown of the hair. Pretty cool story that's unfolding. And the lady who should have been the number 1 pick, I think Dallas blew it, but again, I'll keep saying over and over again, you don't make a determination on who was the number 1 and 2 pick. Probably 3 years into their career is more accurate.
Yeah, it's kind of what we talked about throughout the whole draft process.
We did it during the draft, and I pointed out quickly, I'm like, I hope the relationship with Fudd and Paige Beckers wasn't a determining factor, because I thought all along Olivia Miles should be the number 1 pick.
And I think Fudd is still a good player, but Collier hasn't played a minute yet, and Minnesota's the best record in WNBA. And it's because of Miles. Like Miles,
you can argue she's the MVP, not just the Rookie of the Year.
I was just about to say that 100%. There is a legitimate argument where she's the MVP of the league, and she wasn't the number 1 overall pick. Oh, and by the way, she played college basketball in TCU, which is just down the road from Dallas too. It's a Fort Worth, the Metroplex. So, yeah, I look. It's also another thing, and I know we have plenty of people we like to cover the W, but it feels like the W media has failed on this topic. And I think it's in part because of what Dallas's media people did right away, where they just shut it down at the first question asked to AZ. Mm-hmm. But it's a legitimate story, especially with the fact that Miles is this good and could legitimately be the MVP of the league through 20-some-odd games.
The WNBA does not get the same coverage that, let's just say it straight out, men's leagues get, because they don't want to welcome open discourse, and sometimes the discourse is going to be critical. But you're right. If the early results on a number 1 and 2 pick in the NBA were producing these results, there'd be a lot of pressure on the team that took AZ Fudd, in this case, number 1, while the number 2 pick is averaging 19 points a game and just went for 31 on 12 of 15 shooting, and I don't even think has fully blossomed yet. Now Fudd has time, but this would be a big topic. Did they blow the pick? But it just doesn't get any coverage.
Gets no coverage. And based off the early returns, again, I still think Fudd will be a good player long term, but Miles looks like a top 10 player in the league.
Olivia Miles, stats put out by someone on social media, with the fro is averaging 21 points a game. When she just goes with the puff, she has it kind of tied up in a puff, only 17.9.
Okay, go full fro.
I think you have to.
You have to.
I compared it to a Dr. J fro. I really want to get ridiculous and say more like an Artis Gilmore fro, but Artis Gilmore is a 7'2" center.
Artis Gilmore. Wow.
Where do you go to Jacksonville?
Jacksonville Dolphins. Very good, Cofield.
Obviously the Bulls.
Yeah.
In the NBA, but yeah, she's fun to watch. She's such a creative scorer, and like I was saying yesterday, her shimmy and shake and stop and go is very Brunson-like. Number 2.
Number 2.
Well, you guys won't let go. The Becky Hammon Brunson is too small to win a title thing. We talked about our buddy Jason Page, who does national TV, 270 stations, as he pointed out on a tweet the other day. He keeps going at her, saying that hey, she needs to own up here. She was the one who said Brunson's too small to win a title. Come on now, let's go, Becky. Really caught up in this.
Oh, Adam Shine went crazy on her earlier this week too. But I'll just say,
no, I tell you what. And I'm not saying this is the case with both of those guys, but there's nothing that angers dudes more than a woman having a really strong sports take. And, boy, her opinion may have been flawed. Oh, well.
I think it's a little bit of two things here, Cofield. One, I think what you just said is 100% right. I think number 2 is the market that Brunson wanted in is one of probably 3 markets, and they're all in the I-95 corridor for what it's worth, that never forgets anything that discounts one of their guys. And Brunson is not only now the most influential New York athlete of the last 30 years. Oh, he only won 2 national championships in Philadelphia also. So
you know what's funny about this is I'm sure Jalen Brunson does not care
care
about
at
because
all.
he's so calm and cool. I bet you his dad has
Rick
been-
might.
Rick does.
might.
Rick holds on
Yeah,
to
Rick
things.
might. But it's just if Brunson had won a title with, let's say, the Suns, like, because the Suns are probably the next major team up to win a title in the NBA, them and Philly. But if he won a title with Phoenix, would barely be a conversation. The fact that he did it with the Knicks, that's why everyone's still annoyed at it.
Top story.
Number 1.
We made some comments hour one about some of the coverage of the World Cup, and I was pointing out that folks who don't follow soccer don't have to fake that they follow soccer. Your takes are going to be sniffed out, especially because soccer is another one of those sports that has a lot of gatekeepers, just like the WNBA. They actually don't want newbies, outsiders covering the sport. It's weird. Like, you should want more exposure. That'll lead to bigger ratings, more money, more attention, but they bristle at that. What do you think about the way the World Cup has unfolded here and the hype going in? Because I don't feel like the World Cup was very hyped at the national level before this thing started.
Not to sound like a, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this correctly. Not to sound like a small market radio host, Cofield. But the national media was disgraceful in the lead up to this. Because this event, look, has the event been perfect? No. No event is perfect. Have there been hiccups along the way? Of course. There are transportation issues in Kansas City. There have been some ticketing issues because of secondary markets. We figured this was probably going to happen. But every stadium has been jammed in the United States. Even the matchup the other night in Santa Clara at 9 o'clock at night between Austria and Jordan, two countries that do not have much of a presence in this country.
So many people are ready to say soccer doesn't work here. Why is the event here? And the example they used was Game 2 in Guadalajara.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, it's empty. This is a disaster.
Yeah, and that was the only one where the crowd wasn't full. That was the only one of this whole tournament. This has been an amazing event. And it also gives me hope that the World Cup's going to come back in 12 years when CONCACAF is eligible to get the World Cup again. And if you're CONCACAF, of course you're putting the U.S. up. They could legitimately have the World Cup at so many different venues. Like they could keep MetLife, they could keep SoFi, they could keep Seattle, and they could do and they could keep Dallas. They could come here. They could go back to Chicago or wherever they build that new stadium. They could change. They could do 7 different venues with the 4 stalwarts that they have to do, and they could come here, which Vegas should be all over when that time comes again.
Big City Friday. Next up, we go out to Chicago. Sam Panayotovich on the betting weekend around sports.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
About 30 minutes away from more talk about A's and Angels this weekend. We got the A's coming up here on ESPN Las Vegas at 6 o'clock. Morocco and Scotland, as they're on most of the TVs here, World Cup at the Golden Circle Sports Bar. On the Strip, Treasure Island, 1-0, 72nd minute, Morocco on top of Scotland. I have not tuned into 1 second of the U.S. Open, which I'm not a massive golf person, but if there is any event that I will tune into, it's the U.S. Open because they actually do play on public courses, and they're at a legendary spot this week.
No, you're Shinnecock, yeah. So
Have you ever been to Shinnecock?
No, I've not.
I think I played there one time. I did not play the black course. No, that's not right.
That's Bethpage.
You're right. I was at Bethpage. Shinnecock's way the hell out.
Yeah,
I've never
that's all
been
the
there.
way. Shinnecock's all the way in the Hamptons.
Yeah, and I can't afford the Hamptons. I never could. But I've always loved the U.S. Open because the course is like it makes the players miserable, and that's what I want to see.
Yeah,
and
and
it's
it
the ultimate test.
hasn't been the case so far this
So
year.
what's the deal?
Because Wyndham Clark has set the record for the highest scoring first 2 rounds in Shinnecock history. He's 8 under. So, look, I don't know. And again, Cofield, I am a very big casual when it comes to golf. I'll tune into the Ryder Cup, which I've been doing less and less since moving out here because when it's in Europe, it starts in the middle of the night. The Masters, obviously. Didn't watch any of the PGA Championship this year except for a little bit on on Friday. And then the U.S. Open, again, it was on in here. I had forgotten it was starting yesterday.
It was on in here, and what'd you say?
Can you put the soccer
You're
on
like,
the
get
television?
that golf major off.
Yeah, can you give me Scotland and Morocco playing each other?
Remind the audience, you talked about what you bet early. Of course, you mentioned
I lost it.
Down 1-0. That was it? That's all you bet?
That was
on
all
the
I
game?
had.
What'd you bet?
I had first half draw, which I was a loser a minute and a half in because Scotland didn't score.
Well, you had a shot. I mean,
I only had 48 and a half minutes to get another goal.
It wasn't in the 44th minute.
But I again, it started off hot. It's been not a great week betting wise after last week, where kind of the week was settled by the fact that Ivory Coast scored in the 90th minute to beat Ecuador. Love that sentence being what I'm uttering here at Cofield, but yeah. But yeah, it's interesting. Like for the golf, like again, I'm pretty casual, but got an alert yesterday morning on the school bus, like, oh, that started today. All right, good enough.
Would you want to go to the U.S. Open at Shinnecock? That'd be kind of a cool experience to walk in.
So, I will say, some of the most fun I've ever had at a sporting event was at the 2018 PGA Championship in St. Louis at Bellerive. Now, granted, that was Tiger finished second in that tournament and had a shot to win it until he either bogeyed or double bogeyed the par 5 on the back 9, late in the back 9. But major golf tournaments are fun. Now, I don't know what it would be without Tiger there because, I mean, legitimately, I was at the next to last major that Tiger was genuinely competitive in, because the last major Tiger was competitive in was the Masters he won in 19. So, I mean, it sounds like fun. I'd love to go to Oakmont. I'd love to go to Shinnecock. There are some of these other U.S. Open courses that I love. I mean, I would love to go to Bethpage Black.
I would love to jingle some coins or my keys or take a photo and have that click sound go and have some caddy run at me.
I think
they're very sensitive in the golf
I
world.
will say, I think the one major, like, I'd have to go, like, I will want to go to at one point in my life is when the British Open goes to St. Andrews. Like, that is one that I think, all right, I should probably do that once.
If you're looking to watch sports action this weekend, good spot, and certainly a spot to hit before and after anything that's going on the Strip. It's our buddies over at Jackson's Bar and Grill, 6020 West Flamingo, Flamingo and Jones, home of the best value steak in town. In fact, Tasting Table just named Jackson's Bar and Grill as one of the top 7 steaks in the country for under $30. $22 on the garlic marinated bistro filet, $22 on the 1 pound ribeye. The ribeye is outstanding and great gaming. Happy hour 24/7. Jackson's Bar and Grill, Flamingo and Jones. That's 6020 West Flamingo. Jackson's Bar and Grill.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
Jeff Parles is here. Cofield. Dude, you're funny. During the break, you were talking about the free swag. Swag. Sorry, run happening. Stymied. But you went to LA yesterday. You were at World Cup game with Bosnia and Switzerland. Wait, did you buy stuff or you got it for free?
No. So mix. The USA jersey that I am wearing, instead of buying a Swiss or a Bosnian kit, I guess the kit's the full ensemble. So just the jersey itself. Bought a USA one for myself. My wife bought one as well.
How much?
I know what the whole haul was, so I'll give you that at the end because I'm not exactly sure.
This is gonna be nightmarish. I'm gonna cringe.
So, and then they have these match day scarves, which is a big thing in Europe where you can get a scarf for the match you were at. So I bought the one for yesterday with Switzerland and Bosnia, and they had them in the store also for the USA-Paraguay matchup, so I grabbed one of those too. And the whole haul came to $310. The whole haul came to $310.
Oh, will you stop?
So the jersey, I think, were $110 a piece, and then the scarves, I think, were $45 a piece, and then it was the tax. Got it to $310.
And that's the one you bought?
This is the one I bought.
Oh, you're wearing it. How often are you going to wear that?
I'll wear it the whole. You know what? I I only own I own 2 other soccer jerseys right now, but when I was Svelter in the back in the day, I would wear soccer jerseys. Like I had a Dutch one, I had a German one.
What do you need to weigh to feel svelte?
Probably another 15 pounds. What
was your max weight?
About 285.
285?
Yeah.
You're tall.
Yeah,
taller
285. Yeah,
285.
I weighed in this morning. I was 251.
Okay.
So we're down 34 pounds.
Wow.
So
we're all trying to compete with JVT, who I think is down.
No, JVT's in a different
60?
stratosphere.
He started at 297, and I think he's in the high. Maybe he'll yell at me. He'll be like, "I'm 233."
No, I mean, but JVT's doing a great job for sure. But
Holy crap.
but then there was all this free stuff outside. So I got a free collector's item. Well, actually, it wasn't necessarily free. I had to buy a soda, which was $7, but whatever. But you got with the $7 soda, you got a collector's item cup that was individualized for the match you were at, which was pretty cool. Coca-Cola. Oh, I gave the sponsor its deal there. You got a free cape.
FIFA has to pay
or headband. The potato chip gave you a free headband, which I might wear on the air because it's gold and it looks great. It just doesn't fit my head. And then
how big were the bags you brought back? How much stuff did you get?
No, I got it all in.
Incredible.
I got it all in a tote bag back.
Okay.
Because I didn't bring any bag with me.
Wow.
The only thing we brought on the airplane was the see-through bag that you need to bring to sporting events this time.
I have to say that after the age of like 16, when Dad would buy me stuff, did they just go
Side
to the right? Oh my God!
Got deflected.
I don't think since the age of 16 I've bought more than $50 in my entire life, and that's 40 years. I don't buy things at games, and the great thing is I'm matched with someone. My significant other loves the biggest thing she loves somehow spending more than $30 at convenience stores.
Okay.
She loves nothing more than airport beers.
Okay.
She loves to get, it's like, hey, $11 on up, she loves it.
Okay.
And at games, she loves buying stuff. And then inevitably around the house, I'm like, oh, yeah, there's, like, one of them I see all the time. I'm like, oh, here's that Angels hat that you had to buy at a Yankees-Angels game for $37. That thing is a piece of crap. She never wears it. Last week we went to a concert. I think, because I like sports more than music. I have an appreciation for music. I really am a spoiled sport. I'll stop. No, she bought a concert T-shirt.
Okay.
And it was like, you're never going to wear that.
So
let's get it framed, maybe.
So,
but I don't even ask. I'm like, because I didn't buy it. If I get caught at the counter, I will buy it. But otherwise, it's like I can't do it.
I had a T-shirt in my hand and didn't buy it.
Okay.
Also, I forgot.
Did your wife talk you out of it?
You know what she did because
she sounds like she's not a good influence either.
No, she not with that. Absolutely not. Because she almost bought a Switzerland jersey for herself, which would definitely not have been more to get.
Is she going to wear those?
Of the USA jersey?
She will?
Yeah, she will. She will. I have faith she will because I know at her work they have Jersey Friday. So she didn't wear it today, but I think she'll wear it next week.
I, like you, though, have found that over the years that have gotten a little more zaptig, that sports apparel really is for like 15-year-olds.
It is for the most part.
When you get portly as a male, it's not a good look.
No, it's not. Look,
they're on athletes.
This is an XL that I'm wearing. The only size they didn't have was medium, which Margaret grabbed the last medium they had, which was pretty amazing.
I'm a hoarder in a lot of ways, but I keep a lot of old pictures, and I have some pictures from back in the day. I don't even think Mateo was at Lotus yet, but we used to do Monday Night Football at the South Point, and man, I went out there with a couple of Yankee jerseys, and I look like Butterbean with hair. I'm not saying my belly is flat, but, I mean, my God, just gigantic. Baseball jerseys are not slimming.
No. Well, you have to wear them with the buttons open, though, when you're too big. That's what I did when I was too big. But no, I mean, look, when I was in England last year, I did buy a Chelsea jersey, and I do wear that from time. I've worn it on the show from time to time. I
have a lot of stuff, but the stuff I buy is usually clearance, and many times for my teams, it's when a player is gone for a couple of years because it's on clearance. Then I'm like, I'm a real fan, you know?
But by
I have a lot of Yankee jerseys.
a lot of Yankee jerseys with
Now-
the name on the back that
now-
is sacrilegious to some.
I love those, though. That said, if you've been to Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, there's a guy, Stan, who apparently owns everything.
Yes.
And there was a knockoff stand around from Stan's that I bought an Andy Pettitte jersey. But it turned out to be very funny because I'm not thin, and now I've got a jersey that's a medium, but it actually says petite on the back. That's what you got. I was like, it's $22
Misspelled.
for a jersey.
That's great.
Petite. Not good. I don't know what I would have worn yesterday if I were a Knicks fan. I have to say, I like parades. I don't like being around a lot of people. There were some scary images that came out, like being jammed in the subway and not being able to get out.
Yeah,
off the subway platform
that was a
upstairs.
horror
I was
show.
like, I was sweating.
Yeah.
I hate that. But the scenery was incredible. We played some of the bites yesterday from Mom Donnie, the mayor, who like really prepped a spot, and I hadn't even thought of this until the guy responded to it. How much of Mom Donnie's 8.5-minute speech, where he shouted out like it seemed like 54 former Knicks and games and instances. How much of that was because Dolan was sitting there, the owner, and Dolan said that Mom Donnie is not a real fan? I think the mayor went out of his way. He's like, "Oh, no, okay."
I think it was a lot of it.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you know that not only did the NYPD harass Tyler Kolek, I guarantee Dolan is like, "Who the hell is that?" Like, yeah, you're summer league star and a contributor here and there. On the team, on the real team.
Not only the summer league star, in the NBA Cup final, he was a key player in that game.
I hope that kid actually does get a chance to be, a guy who gets time. But anyway,
He's good at Marquette.
But Dolan then has to get up after the mayor makes his good speech where he actually prepped. There are so many politicians who suck in their fake fandom. They don't even work at it.
No,
so lazy. Like, we know you're not a fan. I actually think the mayor is. Dolan gets up there and he has to drop this line like, "Well, I'm not up here to get votes." Bro, why do you have to be the black cloud over everything? Like we mentioned yesterday, they hadn't even gotten to the parade yet, and he's talking about second apron, and then the Trump White House thing. It's like, can we just have zero discord around you and your team for a day? And he's got to go after the mayor. He's such a puke. He really is. And winning a ring doesn't change a damn thing about Jim Dolan and who he is. They won, believe me, they won in spite of, and you know what, I have to admit I'm wrong, because that was a rant I did forever. For 25 years, I'm like, the Knicks will never win because players are never going to go there because of James Dolan. And he finally came up with a guy who is just unflappable and a great kid in Jalen Brunson. Because most players, any of them in their right mind who've heard about James Dolan are like, no, I'm not going to play for that guy.
Well, it's also someone who wanted to win in New York, too, with Brunson. I love
it. The mayor drops a line about Oakley driving rebounds. And, Dolan's back there like, son of a...
Man.
Like, you need to be called out on that. You've banned one of the legendary players. You're a child. You're a billionaire, but you're a child.
Oh, man. Oh, boy. It's it just, again, for the Knicks. By the way, I had a few friends at the parade yesterday. Total chaos. One of my buddies got an unbelievable picture of Brunson with the trophy. It seemed like he was like 10 feet away from him. So, but again, for a tortured fan base, and by the way, too, in a league that all of a sudden, Cofield, has become, and I don't want this to come away negatively, a league that has become parity-riddled now for 8 years, 8 different champions. It's good to see teams who haven't won in forever. Even if this was, I keep throwing Phoenix under the bus, but they're the best example. A team that's been around hasn't won in 50-plus years. It's good for the league that we're getting new champions and we're not getting these. And look, I didn't mind the super team era as much as some did, but This is better to see more teams winning championships. You have more people engaged in your sport when more teams have a feeling they can win it. And realistically speaking, in the NBA, I mean, the Knicks are hard. The Knicks didn't even make the bubble in 2020. 6 years later, they're winning the championship.
I don't like to give David Stern a lot of credit, but he started this ball rolling, and then Silver finished it off with some of the new changes with, the ability for all markets to keep their players, have an extra advantage with an extra year, more salary, and it really has helped the league. And the 8-8 is incredible. Yeah. And there were a lot of complaints. There were people. I was doing sports talk radio, back in the '90s, and I was a fan, obviously, before that. Super teams can be good, and Jordan was good for the NBA, but the Bulls winning every freaking year, I don't necessarily think that's a great thing. And it gives you a villain. And most recently, GSW being a villain can be a good thing, but there was some fatigue after a while. Hell, even LeBron making the finals every year out of the East. So there's balance now, and those complaints about, hey, the mid-size and small markets can't keep their players. Well, now they can. And you're seeing not only teams rise up to win the title, but teams rise up to make the conference finals. There is a lot more balance in the NBA than almost any other league.
And look, there could
the NFL sucks, honestly. The NFL, actually, there were some breakthroughs last year, but if you don't have a quarterback and you don't have one of these guys who stays around for 15 years, then you're an absolute long shot. And if you do, then you're going to be in the mix forever. And
also, I would be surprised if it's not 9-9 next year. Even though Oklahoma City could be the one that busts it up, but you know what? That's a small market. Oklahoma City's as small market as you can possibly get in professional sports in this country.
And if they want to spend the money and go way beyond the cap,
go do it.
They can do whatever they want.
Go do it. San Antonio and Indiana are the two that could make it 9-9 next year for sure.
Man, this game has been incredibly dangerous with tons of opportunities.
And only one goal in the first minute of the game.
Unreal. 95th minute now. Morocco 1-0 on Scotland. By the time we come back, we'll probably get a whistle here, and the game will be over unless that goes in.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
It's Friday, gotta get down on Friday. Everybody's looking forward to the weekend. Partying.
Yeah, all right, here we go. Friday. I told you we were going live, brother. I yelled to end the end of last hour. Yell coming in to the 5 o'clock hour, final hour of the week on Cofield and Company. Jeff Parles, Steve Cofield. Mateo's down here. Down here is the Golden Circle Sports Bar. Inside Treasure Island, I want a play-by-play job. We left last hour, and I bet you part of the audience is like, my God, that was a brilliant call by Cofield. Who just scored? That was a cliffhanger. No one scored. Morocco wins. Scotland falls short. What time is it? 8 o'clock?
8 o'clock in
Foxborough, Can they get back to Boston proper in the next 2 hours and start their drink? Because if they're not drunk now, they're going to get annihilated.
I would imagine they already are.
Yeah.
I'd imagine they already are. What the Scots have done in Boston is pretty remarkable, in all honesty. Of all cities to knock out of alcohol, that's a pretty impressive place to knock out of alcohol.
We were impressed by the college football fans who came here. Was it LSU?
Yeah,
that came in, and Mandalay Bay is like, we tap.
Had to have been LSU.
We got nothing left.
Well, didn't Wisconsin in the past, weren't they like
they're classic
the ones who set the trend at the beginning, and then again, LSU fans are a special breed. That I do know.
So 1-0 Morocco beats Scotland. Let's continue on the baseball weekend. Let's continue with the theme of our Big City Friday. The World Cup has been a really cool showcase for big cities around the country. And, as I got on my pedestal and lectured the audience about 90 minutes ago, I get real tired of hearing dippies from the Midwest or the South talk about how awful all our big cities are when you've never been to any of them, or you're just a pansy. You're just afraid of everything. You're afraid of your own shadow. We have great big cities, and many of them are on display here. And as you mentioned earlier, FIFA wants to make money. They're pigs. So the fact that the U.S. has money is going to be attractive. We could host the World Cup 12 years from now and pick a couple of the same cities, like if it were New York and L.A., and then all different cities.
Yeah.
And still draw really well. And there's some awesome cities that don't have World Cup games.
Yeah, I mean,
like us.
Like, look, they'll keep it in MetLife, even though that stadium is not as good as some of the other ones. Miami, Dallas, L.A., Seattle are the only ones you really have to repeat. And then you could come here. You could go to the new Bears place, wherever the heck that may be. You could go to you can go to a lot of places. I guess you got to go to Atlanta also, because Atlanta is one of the better ones as well.
These guys are on a mission. The one guy brought his friends over. They come storming at us like, "What's going on here? We're gonna grab this table. You can have all of them. You can have all of them." And one guy's got a USA kit on. Why not, right? All right, let's get out to the phones here. As 5 o'clock hour guest is one Matt Neverett, who is back in Vegas. He's a well-traveled young man. Matt, how are you?
I'm doing well. That's about the nicest description anyone's given of me in a while, so I appreciate that.
Well, we want you to play into this big city theme, and we were talking earlier about our favorite big cities in the country, and I have a tough time choosing because I've been lucky enough to go to, I think, like roughly, if you look at like the top 50 TV markets, I've been to like 45 of them. I know you've traveled to a lot of places. What is your favorite big city?
That's tough. I mean, are we counting Vegas as a big city nowadays? I don't know if on paper it matches that
I
guild.
said top 50. I said top 50, and I'm using TV markets. Parles limited as the top 40. Vegas technically is 40th. I mean, 50th is New Orleans. That would be on my list, but I don't know. It's whatever your interpretation is.
I mean, Vegas, obviously, I'm biased, but I love it here. Love San Diego. I'm definitely a beach guy, so I like that market a lot. A lot of good ones on the East Coast. I'm not a fan of the weather as much, but Boston's amazing. I'm a little biased there, but there's some really cool areas on both coasts. I would say if I had to pick a city to live in, it would be somewhere where there's at least somewhat close access to the beach. There's some that I really, really would like to go to that I have not been to, New Orleans being one of them. Generally, the Midwest I'm out on outside of Denver when it comes to the big cities. But, yeah, San Diego is one that I'll always stick up for. That is like my number one favorite.
I'm going to give you a second to think about it, and Jeff as well. Is there a place that maybe people underappreciate? I'm not going to use the term hellhole, but is there a place that maybe people don't appreciate as much as they should? As I look through the list of the top cities, I had a really good trip to Detroit. Now, will I go back? Maybe. I don't have that much money and that much time off and that much more time on the earth, but I enjoyed Detroit when I went there, and I think obviously Detroit gets a terrible rap. Another city I enjoyed, but mostly it's just because of one food item, is I had fun in Cincinnati. I don't think those cities have good reputations.
It's interesting. Cincy's okay.
They have chili.
I think
they have my chili.
I think if we're going because Detroit is on the border of being a true major city in this country. It's on the border. Cincinnati.
It was one of our major cities until industry slowed down a lot. By the way, the other bonus of Detroit is you can go over to Windsor, which is interesting. And we still are, I believe, the only sports talk radio in the history of Super Bowl broadcasts that said the hell with Radio Row and went over and did one of our shows at a strip club in Canada. Because we had such a tradition back in the day, Matt, of doing shows at strip clubs. Where we have to go to, as it turned out, Cheetah.
Nice. In
Windsor. Matt, is there a big city, or is there a city out there that you think people kind of crap on or underappreciate, that when you go or you've been there, you're like, you know what, I like it here?
Well, I mean, I'm extraordinarily biased on this one, but Pittsburgh gets a bad rap from a lot of people just historically, and what the area used to be when it comes to industry and bad climate and all this other stuff. But Pittsburgh is a tremendously fun city, pretty temperate weather, all things considered, for the East Coast, both in the summer and in the winter. And it's this downtown area is completely different than what a lot of folks think. It's actually one of the most like green cities in the country, both in terms of the greenery itself, but also like how sustainable things are there. They've done a great job of kind of flipping the connotation of what Pittsburgh is. I'm a little biased on that one, but Pittsburgh is, I think, extraordinarily underrated.
I agree with you. I think actually, if we're going in that area of the country, Pittsburgh and Columbus, I think, are two that are underrated. Columbus is great food scene also, but I'm with you on Pittsburgh, and yeah, I'm gonna have to go back at some point. I want Permanis again. I want it. I'll give him the free promotion. I want it at some point. Matt, let's go to the A's here. You know, I think this is a huge week for them. They started off right with the win yesterday against the Angels. They get 3 more with Anaheim. Yes, I know it's LA, but let's be real. And then they get the Giants, who are horrible this year. And it's a 7-game stretch, Matt, where you have an opportunity to make some noise against 2 teams that are bottom feeders right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head right there, and that comes off of the momentum that they garnered winning 4 out of 6 in Vegas right into that 7-game stretch. So, yeah, they've got an opportunity tonight to win and go back to 500 and really over this next week or so get back over 500 for good in an AL West that has just been wide open. And I think what we saw from Gage Jump last night is the peak of what he's going to be able to accomplish this year. 7 shutout innings for a rookie. Now, eventually, the league is going to be able to figure him out with more tape and some more, at bats against him. Guys are going to start to figure it out. But hey, for the time being, enjoy it, because the left-hander not only has gotten more efficient as he's gone to the big leagues, he's added a lot of velo onto his fastball as well. Like I remember watching the Saturday start prior when he was back in Las Vegas ballpark in that series against the Brewers that night. And I'm like, where was 99 when he was with the Aviators? He was not throwing that hard, so they've got him with additional velocity and additional effectiveness, and that's only made him more efficient. So I think Gage Jump is really a guy that was pushed up, I think, a little too quickly, but he's made good marks so far in the big leagues, so you can't knock it until he's up there, right?
So can we build on that? What do you think the difference is? Like, what happens for him at the major leagues? I'm not worried about the velocity part, but the control, what do you think has changed?
Well, I think for him it was just throwing first pitch strikes, and that could be just a difference of coaching philosophy, and even just working with a different catcher or whoever is calling the pitches, whether it's the pitching coach or the catcher. Sometimes just the sequencing could be a little bit different. And for a guy like Jump, it's about taking advantage of his length, I would say, because he's not a big guy, but what he does especially well is when he stretches out towards the plate. His legs are really long, so he's got a big jump. And then his arm, basically, instead of 56 feet, he's coming at you from 54 feet. His extension is almost at an elite level, especially for a guy who's not a big physical lefty. He's like 6 feet tall, maybe 180 pounds soaking wet. But with that extension, it makes that fastball that's now 99 look a whole lot more like 100 plus. And he's done a good job of parlaying his outstanding breaking stuff off of what's now an additional velo fastball.
Matt Neverett, voice of baseball in Las Vegas, is here with us, with Parles, with Cofield on ESPN Las Vegas. The A's need more reinforcements in that rotation. We'll get to some of the guys who are on the big league level and are going to be pitching in this series, especially against the Angels. They bumped up Lynn, one of their best prospects, and then what happened these last couple times out?
He just had no control, and when he was throwing strikes, he was getting knocked all over the park. And it was actually just announced today that he's going to be shut down for a little bit with a shoulder strain. And anytime you see that a guy is going for a quote-unquote second opinion on a medical diagnosis, that's never a good sign. Anytime you see the name Dr. Neil Elatrash, even before all this Conor McGregor stuff, you never like seeing a guy going for a second opinion to him or James Anders or whoever it may be. Whenever you see second opinion, generally speaking, the team's got news that they don't like and they want to see if they can try to salvage it, whether it's with a lesser procedure or just a difference of imaging. But, yeah, anytime you see second opinion on a arm injury for a pitcher, that's never a good sign. And, at the time, Lynn was the youngest player in AAA, so he'll be back, don't worry. But one way or another, it was a couple of outings to forget in his first 2 appearances here. Matt Neverett's with us as the A's are coming up right here on ESPN Las Vegas. Coverage starts at 6 o'clock. JT Ginn is going to start the middle game of this series. He's an interesting guy. He had a tough time in I think he pitched one of the games at LVB. In fact, I know I was out there. But, beyond that, he's been pretty consistent. Can he keep this going? I mean, he's got an ERA of 2.91.
remind the audience what he throws and if he can keep this rolling in essentially what is the second half after he's put up 13 starts.
Oh, and he's a throwback in a lot of ways. You know, to describe him as a sinker baller, I think is pretty true. Sinker, slider, changeup guy who changes speeds well, mixes his pitches up in terms of sequencing, and does a good job working high. You see a lot of those sinker ballers that'll just dot the bottom corners left and right, inside and out, back and forth, and their pitch mix is, pretty consistent where to left-handed batters, they'll basically just throw sinker change, and to right-handed batters, they'll basically just throw the sinker and the slider. But what he does is a good job of throwing his change up through the front door and that slider in through that front door as well on the other side. So he's one of those guys who you never really know what pitch is coming. None of his pitches, I would say, are like a true plus pitch as well. So for a guy like that, you kind of have to sequence well. And like Gage's jump, maybe not to the degree that the lefty has, but JT Ginn's definitely added some velocity on what was already a pretty heavy fastball. So for a guy that was a former top prospect, he's really rounding into form, and I'll be excited to see, especially with the offensive support that he's been given just about every time out.
Matt, just looking as the AL West as a whole, it just, we are almost 100 games into this season, and it still just is amazing to me looking at these records, and 2 games over 500 with Seattle is still good enough to lead the division. There's only one. Seattle's also the only team with a positive run differential. How many wins do you think it takes to win the division?
Oh, God, I think 85 might get you there. No, in all seriousness, it is probably going to be somewhere between 85 and 90, and we'll know exactly where these teams think they are at the trading deadline coming up in just over a month because, a team like Seattle, they need bats. They've got, I think, the best pitching rotation in baseball when it's healthy. And then Houston might have the best offense in the league, but they've got the absolute worst pitching. So 2 teams kind of with 2 opposite issues in that same division. And then there's the A's, who absolutely have the young offensive core, but really need to bolster that back end of the bullpen and add, maybe another frontline starter. I think they're the team that has maybe even the strongest base to make a run if they're able to make a couple of moves at the deadline. Now it's going to be a matter of if they're willing, and I don't think it's going to be a matter of if they're able. They've got enough juice, and they've got enough guys in the minor league level that are trade bait. So I think we're going to see some teams take a bite at some of these A's prospects for, I think, a back-end bullpen guy or a front-end type of starter in the rotation.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Seattle's strength because that's a scary part. I think they can make a run. They've survived. They can make a run. I mean, if Bryce Miller is going to be your 4th starter, he's come out of the gates here on fire between Gilbert and Kirby and Wu. The consistency there, it allows you to be a different level baseball team. The A's hitting is better. The offense is better, but the A's are really fighting and scrapping just to get 5 innings out of their starters. That's where the M's have such an advantage.
Absolutely. I mean, you draw a lot of parallels to like on the football field. While you'd like your team to be able to score 40 points any given day, you'd rather know you're going to win a 20-14 game any day. A boring one where you're not going to give up a ton. And I think in baseball, especially with the volume of games, that over the course of a year is going to bode well. I would say a team with better defense and pitching is going to have the chance over the full season to be better than, a team with just the offense. And I think we see that parlayed into the playoffs even more. The teams with solid back-end bullpen and a really solid top of the rotation where you only have to throw like 3 of your starters a series, those are the teams that make it consistently and move on to the next rounds of the playoffs, not just get in.
Matt Neverett, the voice of baseball here in Las Vegas, also voice of the Rebels. We don't have to deep dive on this too much. I just wanted your general thoughts on UNLV and especially the month of June that they've had. I think overall they're up to now 23 commits, which is incredible on June 19th for UNLV football. And the question I have for you, we got into this yesterday with Ray Brewer. It's very interesting, the approach that Dan Mullen is taking in an era where the transfer portal has become such a big thing, and it really has led to a lot of the success for UNLV and winning 30 games in 3 years. What do you think of the approach of going out and potentially bringing in 25, 26, 27 freshmen in the 27 class?
Well, I think first and foremost what you got to consider is, let's just say that number ends up being 25 here in a month or two. By the time it comes to actually show up on campus, you're probably going to have about, 16 or 17 of those guys as far as committing elsewhere, things don't work out. But I like that he's casting a wide net, and I like that he's building the program from the bottom. It's something that this program, at least in the modern era over the last 10 years or so, really hasn't been able to do a ton of that has translated to any kind of success on the field. And for Mullen, I think he realizes that this is how to set it up long term because, not only does it look good internally and in the city of Vegas, but what it also does is it helps you potentially, in my mind, build a cheap roster in the future. You get some studs to stay home on a potential hometown discount in the NIL realm, and you build a guy up through the program. Then you're not in a bidding war for your starting running back in 3 years. Then you don't have to go out and buy a safety in the transfer portal in the offseason for a guy who's played at an SEC school, just for instance. So I think it's a smart long-term strategy, and it's one that tells me that Dan Mullen's planning on being here for a little bit of time as well. I think every year, especially over the last couple of years with the success between Barry Odom and Dan Mullen, every offseason it's like, hey, is the head coach coming back? I think this is one sign that he's at least planning a medium to long-term stay in Vegas, right?
You would think. Right? I mean, why, if he was here just for the quick hit, win games, be old, stay old, get that next big contract back at the Power 4 level, then I don't think he'd be that patient in recruiting the way he is. I think the other thing in this class and the last class that's very interesting, and I do believe they have to be productive, is they're taking a lot of defensive backs, a lot of safeties, a lot of cornerbacks, and it's been one of the things that UNLV has had a little trouble developing. Like Cam Oliver was here for a long time and played out his career, but I think the program will benefit a lot if they can actually have some defensive backs come in, compete for playing time, maybe as redshirt freshmen, maybe even as a freshman, and then keep guys around for 3 and 4 years.
Yeah, well, I think the two returners in the defensive backfield this year that are going to have a huge impact are Denver Harris, who was supposed to be that guy last year before breaking his hand, and Trey Fulton, who also had the hand injury that cost him most of last year. And he was really, really good with basically one hand when he came back. The other one was all clubbed up. And those were the two guys that stood out to me the most when we went out there and watched in the spring game as far as the defensive back. So, yeah, that strategy already kind of playing out with a couple of the second-year guys. I think Fulton, the third-year guy now.
A very interesting note, too, if you saw the Phil Steele All-Mountain West Conference selections, He picked 4 teams. And, I tell everyone, Phil Steele isn't just flipping a coin or, just sort of, beating around the bush with the program. He's going right to the bosses, and he's going right to Mullen. Mullen told us at the end of that spring showcase on our broadcast about Avery Helm, who had not appeared in the spring and is still getting up to health. And he's a guy who played at Florida with Mullen some 5 years ago, and Steele had Avery Helm on the first team. Now, I don't know if he's going to be a first-teamer, but it speaks to how high Mullen is on Avery Helm, and my God, it would be massive if they had a shutdown corner to really fortify one of those positions on the edge.
Yeah, and I think based off of that and the fact that you had mentioned that they're bringing in so many DBs, they're a little snake bitten from last year. If the defense was just bad instead of absolutely abhorrent at times last year, they're looking at a 12-0 record. I mean, now we can say it as the dust is settled. That was what stood between them and a truly elite season because they had the conference's player of the year in Anthony Calandria. In my opinion, the best running back in the conference, the pretty deep core wideouts that all did different things last year. That wasn't the issue most of the season. It was the defense. So they're going out and kind of overcorrecting, and I think that coupled with Shearer and Gunther, kind of now co-manning that defense in the coaching staff, I think we're going to see a massive, massive difference with the defense, and I don't think that's much of a stretch to say that at this point.
Matt, what's on deck for Aviator Weekend?
Well, tonight, Rat Pack T-shirt giveaway, kind of that old, the Sands Hotel picture with the Rat Pack. We got some Aviators Photoshop in there. First 2,000 fans through the gates here coming up in about 10 minutes. We'll get that. They're playing the game as the Headliners tonight, the Las Vegas Headliners. A really cool look, kind of an homage to the performances and performers that made Las Vegas the entertainment capital of the world. And then after this weekend, which wraps up the first half, by the way, Aviators could clinch the playoffs this weekend. It's the 4th of July, but the Aviators go on the road for 2 weeks. So we're doing our 4th of July celebration tomorrow night, free jersey giveaway, celebrating America 250 to the first 2,000 through the gates at 5:30 again. 7 o'clock first pitch tonight, tomorrow, noon on Sunday. And again, there's a chance that the Aviators clinch the first half championship and a second straight playoff berth either tomorrow or Sunday as the first half winds to a close here.
Matt, have fun at the park tonight. We'll talk to you soon.
Ready to go. Anytime, boys.
Matt Neverett. 70 days away? I think 71 days away from the beginning of the UNLV football season on August 29th. It's Parles, it's Cofield, Mateo's here. Golden Circle Sports Bar, 2 more World Cup games on the way. One's going to start up here in about 10 minutes with Brazil and Haiti, Turkey, and Paraguay are going at it. Next, we go up to Seattle. We're going to talk a little bit of Mariners specifically. Also, what the experience was like around Seattle. Does that look like a raucous atmosphere? Certainly in the stadium, but around the city of Seattle is Chuck Powell, one of the radio stars in Seattle. Will join Cofield and company.
Now back to Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
Brazil and Haiti about to start up. National anthem is being played right now. Parles, Cofield, hanging out. Bunch of Brazil fans here at the Golden Circle Sports Bar inside Treasure Island. Brazil, always one of the favorites coming into the tournament for the FIFA World Cup. Looking at recent history, they won back in 2002. I think they're 5-time champions.
Mm-hmm.
Last 5 World Cups, though, quarterfinals, fourth place, quarterfinals. And the amazing thing is, if this list I'm looking at here is accurate, there are goals for and against over the years in those quarterfinal appearances. 10-2, 9-4, 8-3, 8-3. So in the big spot where they need to win, they have not won, but they've actually been pretty dominant, but they keep coming up short in games.
This is the type of match that they are awesome in, the one that's coming up now. When they play we'll use the soccer term of minnow, and Haiti on the international scale is absolutely a minnow in comparison to a lot of teams in this tournament. This is usually where Brazil flexes their muscle, where the talent is just so overwhelming. Wouldn't shock me if they win this match like 4 or 5-0. Wouldn't shock me at all.
Wow.
And then the common denominator with all those is they've run into, in all those World Cups, they've ran into a high-end Euro, and the high-end Euro beat them. They lost to the 06, I think it was Italy. They lost to the Dutch in 2010. 2014, they obviously had the 7-1 disaster against Germany. In 2018, Belgium knocked them out. And I'm blanking on who knocked them out in the last World Cup, but they were not overly impressive in their first game against Morocco, even though, again, Morocco's a legitimate top 10 team in the world. Brazil's a legitimate top 10 team in the world. If you're trying to get your last-minute bets in, the goal line, Brazil's laying 2.5 goals here at STN at -145. So that's all you need to know about this match.
So the World Cup, if you're not a soccer fan, can make you into a soccer fan, at least short term. Let's go up to Seattle, where they're crazy about soccer there. Chuck Powell does sports radio, does a morning show on KJR. He joins Jeff Parles and Cofield. Chuck, how are you? Oh, Chuck's not there. Damn it, I misheard you. Well, Chuck was telling me earlier that he's actually not a big soccer fan, but he was out and about today watching the games at a bar. And the visuals I saw, Jeff, were insane.
It is the best soccer market in the United States. Seattle. It always has been, at least from a professional standpoint. I mean, again, they were talking about on the broadcast that Lumen was built in part to make sure that you definitely have a World Cup game when the World Cup inevitably comes back to the U.S. And again, that environment, our guy Arash Markazi was there posting about that it's one of the best sports environments he's ever been to, and Arash is as worldwide as they come. So look, it was tremendous. It was a game I applied for. I didn't get it, but it's just one of those bucket list things as a sports fan, that if you had the means and had the ability to potentially go up there, if you were a big time and a bigger fan of the U.S. football than I am, or U.S. soccer, I should say, from our perspective as I am, would have been amazing to be up there. And again, they got a good game, and they got a 2-0 U.S. win. And again, a city in our big city Friday that has been panned by some as falling apart and unsafe and all that. And look, I was there last year. That is as good of a city as there is in this country.
How come?
Culture's awesome. Food is underrated. I don't think the food scene gets as good of a do. And you know what?
I saw Rosh tweeted a picture of a hot dog, Seattle dog.
You know what's on the Seattle dog, right, Cofield?
Is there cream cheese?
There is. There is. The one I had was delightful.
Ha! Good word for a hot dog.
I am not.
Delightful.
I am not. I am. And you know the funny thing is, I'm not a huge cream cheese guy to begin with, but so when I went to Seattle, I was there for a bachelor party. The rest of the bachelor party was elsewhere. My flight got in later than everyone else, and they're like, "Oh, we're not back. We're not at the Airbnb. If you want to just drop your bag, we'll give you the code. Drop your bag off. Do whatever you want. We'll be back in 3 hours because I think they went up. They went up to the mountains." I was like, "All right, sounds good." Dropped off the bag. Walked a mile plus to the Space Needle. Right underneath the Space Needle, there's this hot dog cart, and they're selling all sorts of dogs. And I get on the list to the Seattle dog, and I'm like, "This sounds totally ridiculous, but I must try it." And you know what? They toasted the bun, some really good. They had it was grilled cabbage and onions on mine.
Wow.
And there's cream cheese on both sides of the interior of the bun.
Getting hungry.
And I was in my head, I'm like, this is either going to be the worst thing I've ever had, or it's going to be awesome. And it was excellent. Brought my friends back there later in the bachelor party. The guy who my best friend, one of my better friends, whose bachelor party it was, would refuse to get the hot dog because, and I thought it added to the charm. It horrified my friend. In the refrigeration that they had for the cream cheese, they took out a giant block of cream cheese and cut it like a slice, like you would cut a slice of bread. And I was so horrified by it. But look, Seattle. Look, I love Pike. I mean, the market's amazing. The waterfront's an amazing area. Good public transportation as well. Great city. Overall, great city. And also, one thing that's it kind of screws me up on geography of this country still. This is a 3-hour flight from here.
You're saying close or far?
No, I wouldn't have expected it to be that far. But you know what? But I guess, like, when back in the day when I would do the flight from one of the 3 New York airports to Miami, and that flight was 2:45, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah. As I was saying, we were going to grab the Seattle talk show host. That guy Chuck will fly, different places to meet us as a group because we're, pretty good friends with him. And I don't think I get the full scope of how long the freaking journey is until he starts complaining about it. It is far, but that's also why there's misnomers about the place because I don't think a lot of people have traveled to Seattle, and it is. I don't know if you're going to rank soccer cities in this country.
It's number one.
Is it number one?
I think it is. From a fan perspective, I think it is. Now, look, Los Angeles has to be up there. Miami has to be up there just because of, again, Miami is such a melting pot for people from the Caribbean and South America that they have to be looked at as a high-end soccer market. Granted, they didn't really have an MLS presence. The first team folded, and then obviously with Inter Miami now with Messi there, it's a whole different ball game. But to me, Seattle, from a fandom perspective, has to be looked at number one. And Portland's pretty darn good too. Now, granted, that's a city I've never been. I would like to. At some point, I gotta convince my wife to do the Portland, Seattle, Vancouver trio up in the Pacific Northwest because they're all pretty tight. So, by the way, we're 3+ minutes in. Haiti has not conceded yet. That's good. That's good.
It looks like a Brazilian player is about to die.
Well, it's also
as we see in soccer at times.
Also, I will tell you,
get up off the pitch, shake it off, brother.
I will tell you, I know that these Brazilian dark blue jerseys with the Jordan emblem on it, some seem to love it. Brazil's the technical home team in there, and they didn't elect to wear their yellow. Yeah. What are we doing here?
Pretty stupid.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you having a intense case of FOMO with Vegas? We decided not to make a bid for the World Cup. We thought the ask, or at least we didn't, because we don't get to vote on stuff like this. The LVCVA makes a decision, but they decided not worth our time. Not worth the financials.
Hey,
Mistake?
In retrospect, I understand why they did it. Especially Allegiant wasn't built yet either when the first application had to go in. So I understand it from that perspective. So just another thing with going to SoFi yesterday. All these stadiums have Super Bowl-like perimeters around them, which obviously when the Super Bowl was here, the perimeter started on at the beginning of the Hacienda Bridge. And I don't know how far back it went on the other side of the stadium, but it went about 2 streets back on the other side of the stadium. I would imagine it would be a similar situation if they ever had a World Cup game here. It would be interesting to see what they would do with a fan fest like they had in LA. I mean, look, it was the parking the parking lot that backed up to the Forum was where the
that Hollywood, the former Hollywood Park property.
It's ginormous,
massive.
It's a different animal.
Yeah.
It would be it's a similar footprint to what it has in Seattle, and I'll have to ask my buddy who went to the game today what that was like today. But when it inevitably comes back to the U.S., and realistically speaking, Cofield, with the amount of money that FIFA's going to make from this tournament, just on just everything, including the tickets, it's going to be 12 or 16 years they're going to come back to the U.S., realistically speaking. The next one that's available is 2038. So my math is totally wrong on that. 28, 32, 36 is when the next one's available, and then 40. I would imagine that they'll come back for that. If you're Las Vegas, you have to be in the mix. And not only that, the way they did this they did it in pod systems off geography, makes it an easier pod. Las Vegas, LA, Seattle. That's your West Coast pod. You add an extra one where Vancouver is currently in it. If you're the U.S., you don't need Canada or Mexico to host this thing again. You don't need to do it. So, if I'm Las Vegas, if I'm the LVCA, I'm absolutely making sure that I'm in the running. And that West Coast pod in the next World Cup is Las Vegas, Los Angeles, and Seattle.
I'm going to throw a question out. And don't take any insult to this because it's your question.
Yeah.
But I'm going to preface it by saying we're not being lazy in asking this question because I think this is a go-to question.
Yeah.
It'll especially be a go-to question when the U.S. makes it to the knockout stage and maybe they win a game in advance. How far does Team USA have to go for soccer to finally take a leap forward? And I think you're going to see a lot of talking head TV shows do this.
Yes.
Because they have a lack of other topics, and it's the easy, low-hanging fruit. But I do think it's for us, because we're good, and we're not lazy, and you know soccer, and I appreciate soccer. Give me your answer, and I'm probably going to destroy you with it. Good.
Round of 8.
Okay.
Round of 8.
Well, okay, what does take a leap forward mean? The team, international competition, or soccer in this country with our professional league?
So the professional league's the hard part of this, right? Where the MLS is significantly better today than it was 10 years ago. It's better than it was 5 years ago. The MLS also has the most notable player on the entire planet playing in it right now. And even though Messi is old, Messi still got it, as he proved the other night in Kansas City. So for me, I think it's twofold. Interest in the country, which, look, if the U.S. is good as at any major of the 5 major sports, the country gets interested. Now, the interesting thing is the U.S. just won a gold medal in hockey. And if you asked me today, is hockey more popular in the United States now because they won that gold medal? I'm not going to say it is. It got a gradual bump.
That's funny you say that because I haven't seen anyone give credit to the U.S. in the Olympics as a reason for the big ratings in the Stanley Cup final. I haven't seen anyone say that, and I would disagree with them.
You think it has?
Or I guess I would agree. I would agree with the premise that it didn't. I don't think it.
I don't think it impacted at all.
Aid to the ratings.
No,
I just think it was a good series with good teams,
and people don't like the Knights.
And hockey is growing, and there was an enemy. There was an evil empire in the whole thing.
And also, too, Cofield, it was on the Stanley Cup final being on ABC versus cable is a big deal with the ratings, too.
Of course.
So, but for me, going back to the original question, twofold. Can you get your domestic league to a point where it's on footing with the leagues in Europe? It's never going to be the Premier League. It's never going to be the Bundesliga. It's never going to be La Liga. That's England, Germany, and Spain. But can it get close to Serie A and Italy? Can it get better than the Portuguese league? Can it get better than? Well, those are really at that point. Like
how much does the quality of the league matter versus?
I think
keeping all of the good U.S. players with salaries where they would pass on playing in the much better leagues.
I think that's the thing. And also keep in mind, too, Cofield, there's one other big thing coming for the MLS. The MLS is going to be joining the rest of the international soccer community with their schedule, which means it's going to be going for a good chunk of that schedule fully against the NFL. Because a lot of it was the postseason was against the NFL. But now the whole early portion of the regular season is going to be going against the NFL. So
is that good?
Probably not early. But what it does give you an avenue for is you're now playing in February. You're now playing in March. You're now playing in April. Do you give yourself an opportunity to try to take a hack out of basketball or hockey or early season baseball? And I think that only happens with what you just said. Can you get your American players to stay? And that is the best of the best. They haven't stayed. They came back when their career's over.
Why can't they do that now?
Money. They need to be able to pay more money, too.
Aren't most of the...
Look, I'm not a huge...
The MLS seems to be a pyramid scheme with now private equity buying into more and more. Brazil scores in the 11th minute.
Hold on.
Offsides?
No, they're acting like it's not offside. Why did he look angry? Why did Rafinha look angry? He's not celebrating much. That's interesting.
Been there, done that.
The stadium's going off like it's...
They said it's good.
Oh, no, it is offside.
Oh, no.
There you go. I was going to say, you didn't react at all. This is a pretty goal.
So, to my point, it seems like more of a pyramid scheme, and you've got private equity buying into soccer and billionaires buying into soccer more and more. So why not spend money to make money?
They should.
Why play it close to the vest? Don't let any of the good Americans leave. Now, there might be some who are like, hey, the money's just not worth it. I have to play with the best of the best. But you could financially keep all of the best players. Listen, I'll give you a good example. That's not the best example, but if you want to compete, keep an eye on what UFC/Zuffa Boxing is doing. They are going to get into the game to steal all of the best boxers, and they're going to lose money doing it on the front end. Now, the difference is, I think their belief is they can break everyone else in boxing and then eventually control all of boxing and then get it back to the system they use with the UFC, which is very much a cost control system. And I guess the problem with soccer, with the MLS, you're not breaking the other leagues by stealing American players.
Sure.
But I would think with all of the money they have in the coffers, and they're going to lose money. They're losing money now. Is the league making money yet? They still don't have a TV deal big enough that they're making money, right?
Yeah, well, then the Apple deal kind of hasn't been the boon that they were hoping for. But look, Cofield, I think more than anything else, too, and this also is related to Vegas, right? According to those reports, I guess that was 2 months ago, that the Vancouver Whitecap situation is becoming untenable up there. And that Vegas is the front runner to get that team if they move. Is there an appetite for this city to have a professional soccer team.
Hold that thought. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll finish up the show with that. We'll get you an update on Brazil and Haiti as we're live here at the Golden Circle on a Friday.
Cofield and Company presents Grab Bag on ESPN Las Vegas.
Stick your hand in there, Dave.
So USA wins 2-0 today, so 2-0 in the World Cup. Pretty much a lock to advance. We'll see what happens tonight with so Turkey and Paraguay are playing. We'll see what happens with the group. Parles, Cofield. Last 10 minutes here at Treasure Island Golden Circle Sports Bar. Come down here to watch the games tonight and all weekend long. World Cup on the 55-plus TVs. Happy hour every day from 10 to 6, 10 a to 6 p, 7 days a week. $5 on select draft beers. So you were building the point about a World Cup run, USA doing well, being a centerpiece of sports coverage maybe for the next 4 or 5 weeks, and what that could do for the MLS, and then specifically Vegas, with Vegas being potentially in the mix to get Vancouver's team.
So I am not certain that this is a good soccer market still. And
I can tell you it's not your thought or your notion, but the information you were giving us about the MLS aligning more with soccer around the world and playing head-to-head during or against the football season.
Yeah, probably not good for here, to say the very least. But look, I think whoever would bring, if the Whitecaps come or a new team comes, they got to play at Allegiant first if they're willing to have them. Think that's just the way it is?
Yeah, I just wonder who the owner is going to be.
I have no idea. I'd say it's a 25-75% proposition to the 75 being no, that it would work out well here. But, hey, look, I've been surprised plenty in this life, Cofield.
I guess never say never when it comes to Vegas and getting the facility done and building a fan base. Yeah, I'm not going to crap on it because I think we've had reservations about a lot of different major league sports here. And for the most part, we've probably been a little bit off. A lot of it's on stadium funding. See if Brazil here can score.
Oh, he missed.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, the Brazil fans here are just outraged. All right, James, thanks. Back in the studio. Great week from you. Mateo, thank you. Jeff, good show today. Thanks to the audience. Check out socials all weekend for more video recaps of the show.